Hello, this is Taj McCameron from Sacred Place Love Letters to God. Now, I wanted to add on to my last point because I think I was cut off in the previous video where we as women, we must be very cautious and very careful that we must be in a full alignment with what it is that we are called to do in our relationships, because if we marry the wrong person, it can be drastically detrimental to veering us off the course and the path in which the Lord truly wants us to be on. That's why I never understood the dating principle when it came down to dating and getting into a relationship and marriage for a kingdom, godly Christian person. So what that basically means to me is that you need to make sure you, as a person that has gifts and talents, and if you have a prophetic ability, whether it's the fact that you operate in the office. Now, some people operate in the office and they are operating in error, but there are others that are truly anointed, that have the gifts and the talents, and they are truly coming from the Lord's space, and some are actually leeching off of the people and the truly anointed people for what it is that they are getting, meaning they have no true operational works. So the fact of the matter is that you must be very careful, because I literally heard a minister say this: when you are getting into a relationship with someone, you need to know that this particular person is aligned to walk with you. Because if they are not aligned to walk with you, this person could actually derail you. Because just as God sends people into your life, Satan can send people into your life. And the one thing that you never want is to be operating in a relationship and through relations of a person that was sent by Satan to derail you. Because I heard a teacher of the gospel that was truly and fully anointed state this: that the devil will send narcissistic people into empathic, prophetic people's lives specifically to derail their purpose, so that they will not make it to their destined goal, to derail them. Because as soon as they marry into the covenant of marriage, if they are marrying into, let's say, a person that has a incubus spirit or a marine kingdom spirit, they are operating in a very controlling, Jezebelic, male warlock type spirit, that this spirit either has come to claim you through lineage, or it's come to claim you through prior relationship. If you don't break those soul ties and don't understand the spirits that you are dealing with and go in, break them, destroy them, tear them down, and coming into alignment and agreement with what you're truly called to walk in, what will happen is, unbeknownst to you, you will actually end up developing a covenant soul tie. And it's very, very important that you know that if you do not choose, as I was saying in the previous, that if the spell comes over you, because that's what it is, it's a spell, that if something comes over you and you don't detach yourself from the agreement of that relationship that you already know spiritually you are not aligned with, If you come into agreement with that and you are derailed, and then you come into sexual covenant with it, meaning either you get married and have sex with the person, or you actually have sex with a person. This is why it's detrimental if you get into a sexual relationship before you get married, because you have to break that spiritual tie to that person. And that, let me tell you from experience, is a hard one to break, because that spirit will chase you down, and you have to keep going into the spirit to let that spirit know, no, you can't come back. No, you can't come back. Because what will happen, we gonna get real here. Listen tightly. What will happen is you will break it. You will fast, you will pray, you will declare, you will decree. You may even go through the deliverance of getting sick and flushing your system out and all of this. You will abort the spirit. You will take it to ash. You will do all of this. You will go into forgiveness with the person. You will do all of these types of things and break that spirit. But see, that marine spirit is a sneaky, conniving devil. That what will happen is you'll do all of that. You will rest and be like, it's over. And the second you go to sleep, you'll have a vision or dream that this particular person that you just broke the soul tie with is come back, and the same sensation, even stronger. Now, in reality, when the sensation comes upon you to try to bring you into that love covenant, you may feel it lightly and you're like, I don't particularly like this sensation because I'm not coming into agreement with it. But in the spirit, you might actually, it will try to coax you in, and the intensity of that feeling will be so all-consuming that you'll find yourself walking with this person. You'll find yourself in an environment with this person. And if you don't shake yourself free of it in the spirit realm, what will happen is it will try to coax you into a friendly scenario, try to get you into a situation that's familiar to you, because you and that person had those familiar experiences, and then it will try to get you to have sex with it in the dream realm. And what I'm going to tell you is, if a spirit tries to have sex with you in the spiritual realm, I'm going to tell you a story that a pastor has told, and you can find this. As a matter of fact, actually, he just recently told this story again in his last broadcast. Apostle Youngblood, Richard E. Youngblood, did a broadcast on YouTube about, was it Monday? And this is Thursday. So, yeah, he did a couple of days ago on his word called Miracles. And he talked about how this woman, she had a spirit where the spirit came to her and had sex with her in her sleep. If it's too deep for you, this ain't for kids. I'm glad I actually did separate this from the other one. But if you had sex with it, and that can also be Miracles was the name of the video in which the pastor actually did a deliverance. What happened was there was a woman that went through a process where she had gone from church to church to church to church to church. No one had been able to deliver her from the spirit that was in operation within her in her body. And it was a scenario where in the middle of the night, she literally felt a spirit sexually trying to deal with her. And she was shook by this. And she had went to the hospital 9 months later and gave birth to a demonic child. Now, most people would be like, this sounds like some Rosemary's Baby type stuff. Yeah. Excuse me, yeah. This actually does happen. But people would never want to admit that something like this happened. And I can show you that this minister said this on record. Go back and look at the video Miracles by Apostle Youngblood. He tells the story a second time. And there's another video that he told the same story. I think it was either on Periscope or Twitter. He told the exact same story of exactly what happened. That this woman came into his church. She was thoroughly demon possessed. And the Lord told him when she walked through the door, disrupting his service as she walked past him, that woman has a demon in it. He said that demon coming out tonight. He'd be in the middle of the service. He did an altar call, and he called the altar call up. This woman came up. He went directly to her. She had a cane. But guess what? This woman was actually in her mid-30s. She needed no cane whatsoever. He kicked the cane out from under her. Everybody was astonished. Oh my God, the pastor kicked the cane out from under this old woman. How? Oh my God. He knocked her to the floor and started pressing on her chest and telling that demon and all demons to come out of her. That woman lifted up, I know this sounds just like The Exorcist, lifted up off the ground 2 feet. And he was telling that demon to come out of her. Telling that demon to come out of her. She hit the ground. He lifted her back up spiritually as he was telling that demon to come out of her. She turned over and the stench was coming out of her as he was working on her in the spirit. She rolled over, spit up, and the actual spit up started to crawl away. When I tell you this is serious, this ain't no game, don't play with your relationships. When she got up, she looked like the 35-year-old woman that she actually was. Not the 60-some-year-old woman walking around on a wood cane that could barely walk that came in there with gray hair and what have you. And she said, I have gone to every church trying to get whatever this was out of me. She had been doing this for 15 years. And she said she gave birth to the child at the hospital. They snatched the child away and disposed of it. She never saw the child again. And she had been carrying whatever spirit had left itself within her for 15 years. And that night when he did deliverance on her, all of it came up, all of it came out, and she was fully delivered from that spirit. Do not attach yourself. I repeat, do not attach yourself to anyone or anything that is not of God, or you will actually be putting yourself at a detriment, because you actually could end up putting yourself in a position that your entire destiny could be halted and you end up encaged by a spirit that is trying to wreak havoc and destroy your life. There's this young woman I was listening to the other day. Her name's Stephanie P. Smith, and she did a video talking about destiny transfers. When people want your life, meaning there's a marine spirit in operation potentially in your kingdom spouse's life, and they know that you're the divine ordained spouse. What they will do is they will masquerade, meaning they will go and they will pay somebody to try to take you out, to try to spiritually destroy you, or to try to transfer your destiny onto somebody else. Meaning they will pay to have your destiny transferred onto them just so that they can maintain your life, the life that you were supposed to have with said person. But see, it doesn't work, because if you're covered by God, it says in the word that touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. There is a story that Tiffany Montgomery told in a recent ministry covered by God that she does. And she was talking about the deliverance from spirits. And she was talking about how this woman saw her God ordained spouse, wanted that man, put a love spell on that man to take him out of the household. And I heard from Anointed Fire, who is another minister, that these are things that were happening years ago, during your grandmother's generation and stuff like that. This is a deep teaching. Not everybody can stand or are going to be able to hang with this. Be forewarned, deep. I don't even know if I should be posting this publicly on my YouTube. That's how deep this teaching is. I might actually post it as an unlisted video. And that if I show it, that it will be to select people until I desire to move it to where it's supposed to go. But what happened was, she literally said that the woman put a love spell on her spouse, but did not realize that the woman who is married to this man was a praying, godly woman. And she went into the spirit and told the Lord, prayed every scripture in alignment with her marriage, for this woman to let her hands off of her husband. And well, most of these women that are married don't know how to pray like that. Because, see, she went into war in the spirit for her spouse. And she never said, take her life. She said, Lord, let your will be done in this situation. A week later, that the woman dropped dead. The wife ironed the husband's suit for him to go to the funeral. You cannot tamper with a child of God ordained relationship. Because when you mess with a child of God, you are asking for a fight in the spirit. And because God is with that child, you're going to lose. And understand, there are scriptures in the Bible that an angel will be sent to pursue and take you out. And it don't mean that that person sent them. It means that they prayed a prayer in alignment with the will of the Lord out of his word. And the Lord made the decision that that is my child, and they were doing right. And this particular person, because Elroy sees all things. Elroy means that the God that sees all things, he will see that this person is trying to commit witchcraft against their marriage. And as long as the woman of God is obedient and walking with the Lord, it says in the word that I will send an angel, that as long as you obey that angel, I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries. And I will not pardon not one transgression against you or your life. So if this particular person or a person comes against your ordained relationship, they are asking for it. See, I say this, and I learned this from a minister. Matter of fact, I think it was the same woman. She said, pray that they repent, renounce, denounce, uproot. Because that's the only thing that's going to save them from the wrath of the Lord. Not me. Not the wife. Not the person. The wrath of God. Because God will give mercy to a person that is repentant. But if the person is not repentant and is operating in rebellion or disobedience, what happens is that that person is asking for the Lord to decree his judgment upon their life. And if he decrees his judgment upon their life, the outcome to that could be detrimental to that particular person. So I always pray that it's exposed and that the will of the Lord, even in relationships, that I see this. Because I am wise, I have a discerning eye. I can see through and see into relationships at particular points that's not right or what have you. So what I pray is, depending on how close the person is to me, I always pray and come into agreement with the word of the Lord, period. But if the Lord is telling me specific, I repeat back what the Lord has told me about the situation. And I then, no matter what I say, let your will be done in that person's life. Let God's will be done. Because the fact of the matter is this: a person has the right to make the decision to not come into agreement with Lord's will, because God gives you free will no matter what. He will break up something that is going to be detrimental to your lifestyle if it comes to that, or your life if it comes to that, but he will allow free will to operate. And he can't force anybody to make the choice. But if they know they came into agreement with the decision and then they choose not to come into operation. I saw a video about 2 weeks ago where the person was saying that certain kingdom spouses were not coming into agreement with what it was that the Lord was saying. They knew what they were supposed to do. They just wasn't doing it. And that was actually putting them in a space of disobedience. And time was ticking. Meaning, you're in disobedience and you're going to end up actually receiving a slap in a minute. Because either you're going to do what you're ordained to do because you know the truth, or you're not. And they will give them time. They will give them space. They will give them understanding. But they will not give them much time. Meaning, I already hit you on the head about this once. You agreed, everything was good, you backslid. I tapped you again. You agreed, you went back in, you got scared, you backed up. Now I'm going to tell you one more time. You have one last shot to get this correct, or you are going to fall into a state of disobedience where my judgment is going to come after you. If you know better, you do better. For the angel does not pardon thy transgressions. And if God sends the angel, you're going to end up in a world of hurt. You can only pray mercy over that person in their disobedience. But I have always wondered, if the person was under a love spell and didn't understand that they were under a love spell, are they in disobedience because they didn't know? Because they were literally under the influence of a love spell. So I always pray, if I see or sense a love spell may have been involved, I pray for the Lord's will. And Tiffany Montgomery in a recent broadcast did a beautiful prayer where she was saying that the Lord go into the heart and break whatever it is that is controlling the person, that the stoniness of the heart be destroyed, that any love spells, anything that is ungodly, anything that is being used, any ungodly agreements that were done without the person's knowledge or without their full understanding, that these things be broken. Because I pray for friends, I pray for family. But at the end of the day, I can pray all those prayers and I can go into deep warfare. But at the end of the day, my prayer for anyone that I care about is that his will is done. So he can throw my entire prayer away, that if that person decides to not come into agreement with the Lord's will for their life, they will suffer in the disobedience of not coming into that will. Because God will allow you to come into the understanding of your idol, same as I said in the previous part, that the minister followed his prophetic leadership and not what God told him, and because of that was led directly into his own death. God will give you unto your idols. I never want to idolize a person, a place, a thing, or anything that I am doing as an idol. I pray the Lord's will over my life. Meaning I will come into agreement with whatever the Lord needs for me to come into agreement. Move, go here, do that, be with this person, do that. Align yourself with this partnership, all of this kind of stuff. Because I need to operate and move forward in the alignment that God has for me. And if you are not, you could end up coming into alignment with a narcissistic spirit that has come into your family lineage, that is operating through spirits that you don't even understand are in your bloodline, that is attempting to destroy what it is that the Lord is trying to develop in your life and lifestyle at this particular point in time. You have to be very careful. Very careful. Because if you don't, you could end up in a spiritual soul tie that will make you a slave to this spirit and never reach the full potential of what it is that the Lord truly has for you in your life, which is the most dangerous place you can be, because you will spiritually die, same as Adam did in the garden, for your own disobedience. So be very, very, very careful. Pray into the alignment of what God needs in your life, not what you believe. And sometimes, just sometimes, if you pray into the right alignment for what you're called to do and your purpose and where you're called to be and what you're called to do, God will shock you with who that person is that you're aligned to be with. For real, for real. Stay tuned. So, are you operating with the kingdom spouse, or are you just trying to have a Christian relationship? What do you have the faith for? Until next time, this is Taj McCameron from Sacred Place, Love Letters to God.